Hi everyone, Byron Martin here at Logee's Greenhouses, and today we're going to be looking at some of the stock plants that we grow here at Logee's, as well as some of the research and development or R&D plants. We're always trying new things to try to find new plants that excite us as well as our customers. This house runs warm. We run it at about 62 to 65 degrees in the wintertime, and that maintains a really tropical environment with glazing that's really open, so we get a lot of light in here. So let's go and we can look at it. Right in front of us here we have a fruiting plant that we grow. This is the Sapodilla or Manilkara. This is a variety called Silas Woods, which is really a great plant for pots. As you can see, the plant is covered with fruit here. The fruit's just starting to ripen. It's kind of odd that it's very hard and then all of a sudden it turns very soft, and it's really delicious eating. It's like brown sugar they call it, but you can just grab it off and eat the whole fruit. And you can see the productivity of this plant is really high. I would say that it's been probably here for about 10 years and we've got, what, 4 or 5 feet on it, and it's covered with fruit. This is Piper nigrum here. There's some fruit forming on some of these older plants right here. You can see the peppers that we grow. These are some of the Abutilons that we're trialing for release. We have some of our own hybrids as well as Sage Reynolds work in here. And you know, what we do is we watch their growth habit, we watch the internodes on them and how freely they flower, and then we do our selections from that. This is a beautiful foliage plant that's not very often found in the industry. This is Ficus aspera, also known as Ficus parcellii. This is a clown fig, and it's in the ficus family, obviously, the fig family, but it produces if I can show you here, it produces a little fig with a little kind of a pinkish, almost looks like a beach ball on it. It's not edible, it's ornamental, and it's fairly rare, mainly because it doesn't propagate that easily. We do it by cutting or layer, and it also has a propensity for spider mite, which if you're a grower of that, you have to be really on it or it will defoliate. Right here we have another fruiting plant. This is the Jaboticaba Plinia cauliflora, and this is actually the early fruiting variety of it. So normally these plants have to get very large and very old before they stop fruiting, but this one actually fruits very freely as a young plant. It's probably 4 or 5 feet tall now, but it's been fruiting since it was 2 feet. They're delicious eating. It's also known as Brazilian grape, so there's a lot of sugar inside of them, and it flowers and fruits for us most of the year. It shuts down a little bit in the wintertime, but a very productive plant for containers. There's a great plant that we actually are still producing it, but we had such demand we can't keep up with it. It's Ixora javanica, which is probably, as far as containers go, one of the best Ixoras we've grown. It's a little faster growing than the standard Ixoras, and it flowers pretty much continuously for us throughout the year. It also has a very strong root system to resist root rot, which some of the other Ixoras have trouble with. It puts out these brilliant orange flowers, and yeah, it's really a great container plant and great for pots and windowsills and such things as that. And right here we have our citrus collection, or at least part of our citrus collection. This contains a lot of different varieties that we've grown over the years. Some of it's in production, some of it isn't. But it does contain the reservoir of stock material that we can work with in the future. This is the Sunquat, which is a wonderful kumquat hybrid. The flowers are very sweet on it, and it fruits almost continuously for us throughout the year. It makes a great container plant, and the fruit hangs on. And the good thing about it is you can take the whole fruit and eat it whole. You can eat like a kumquat, you can eat the skin, or you can bite into it like an apple. And the interior is not terribly sweet, but it's not sour also, so it's quite palatable. We have our Buddha's hand here. This is actually more like Buddha's fist right here. You can see the curling on that. Our fruit will do that in the greenhouses here. I'm not exactly sure why. Sometimes the fingers come out, other times it's closed in like that. And this fruit is, you know, you can eat the interior of it, the pulp that's in the rind, you can eat that. There's really very little seeds inside of it. But that's a really good container plant and does quite well for us, both that and the citron, which down here we have quite a few examples of that. Here's some of our variegated citrus here. This is a pink Eureka lemon. That's quite available in the trade. You can see the fruit right here. It's got some stripes in it, but as the fruit ripens, those stripes will kind of disappear a bit. There's our citron up there. Let's see if I can pick that. So this is the regular citron or etrog. And if you cut that open, there's a little bit of pulp inside, but it's really the rind that is quite edible. And they put some pretty good sized fruit. They'd get bigger if you were in the ground outside in a more subtropical area where they grow. We have a variegated navel, the tiger navel. This is actually really a great navel orange in that it produces and bears for us pretty much every year. It doesn't have that off cycle that many of our edibles do. There's a fruit of it. You can see that the striping goes away as it ripens, and it's really quite sweet and delicious. It's a good quality eating fruit. This is the variegated kumquat, known as centennial kumquat. It's actually interesting. It has more of a rounder fruit than a regular kumquat, but if you raise it and you ripen it, you'll see that the inside's sour and the peel is kind of sweet, and you can eat it as such. There's our Otaheite orange. The fruit actually hang on for a very long time. You see these old fruit that have been on, they've probably been on here for 2 years. So it makes a great ornamental. It can just hang and hang and hang, and they don't fall off. And actually in the greenhouses when I was younger, they actually turned green with algae out in our display area where we had an old plant of it. It has an astringency. You can eat it. It's great sweet taste to it, and then the aftertaste of it like goes, oh my God, what did I eat? I eat them once in a while, but it's probably not that palatable. And so here we have some of our Hoya stock. We actually have Hoyas in several different places because we love Hoyas and our customers love Hoyas, and we've just gotten more and more Hoyas as time goes on. So there's our variegated kerrii that we grow, and this is that's the heartleaf Hoya. And you can see here there's some flowers of it. It has an interesting flower. There's one that's just beginning to open. You see it's open. That's very unusual. Usually they all open at once, but this opened one and now it's starting to go inside and open another. It's a pretty flower, but really they grow them for their foliage. This one I really love. This is cordata. It has that, almost looks like it was pounded out of copper. Somebody did some metallic work on it. It's a beautiful leaf. Flowers are not terribly spectacular on that. Many different types of Hoyas. Here's carnosa crispa. This is the variegated Hindu rope. You can see one of these is going completely white, and that actual white would keep growing as long as the back is feeding it, but if you took a cutting off of that and tried to root that, it would just perish because it has no chlorophyll. These are great plants for people that want something that's going to be around for a very long time and are not going to actually get out of control. So this particular one, because of it's known as carnosa compacta, it really pulls itself together and doesn't get out of control. And many of the Hoyas that we grow, a lot of them are vines that just kind of, you can see up at the top here, they just like take over if you don't watch them. This pubra, this is a great big old plant we have. This flowers in the fall, has delightfully scented flowers to it. It goes in one big burst. It's just covered with blooms and then it ends. There's our green carnosa crispa. And that's interesting. The leaf has actually lost some of its crispness or twisting, which plants often do that. So this is carnosa, and somewhere along the way it's sported or genetically mutated, and sometimes there's a throwback on that. That leaf has gotten flat again. That we wouldn't propagate from. This is an interesting plant called hot lips. And you can see it almost looks like lips. This is a Psychotria popigiana, and this particular clone I believe was brought out of Ecuador. It's a very tall grower, has a long, very stretched up internode, and we found it to be a little bit difficult to grow here in the Northeast. It's a plant that we're still working on in terms of trying to get through that winter slump that it goes into. This is a great plant for containers. This is Dichorisandra pendula, and you can see the pendulating flowers on it. But it flowers over a long period of time. The flowers will come down and they'll come out, and then another set will come, and these bracts of flowers continue to produce blooms, as I mentioned, over a very long period of time. It does grow a bit tall, but you simply trim that off and you can maintain a nice compact and bushy plant in a windowsill or in a sunroom. So above me I have Hoya publicalis, which is probably one of the most infamous or famous Hoyas in production. If you go into a home and you find a Hoya that's growing there, it's either carnosa or it's publicalis. And it's a beautiful flower. You can see the bloom right here. Generally for us it flowers in the summertime and it reproduces off of old spurs. You see this one's been going on for a number of years here. At nighttime it has a light fragrance to it. It smells a little bit like chocolate. It's quite sweet, but it is really an indestructible and a great plant. If you want to start somewhere with a Hoya and you tend to be a little neglectful with your care of plants, this is a great plant to start with. This is an interesting citrus hystrix, or the Kaffir Lime. It's used in culinary work. You can see it has that double segmented leaf to it. It's a fairly strong grower. There's a fruit up in the top here which has this kind of crinkled outside edge to it. I believe they may use some of it in shampoos and such things as that, but it's really not an edible. What is important about it is the leaf. If you take the leaf off and you crush it, it has a really strong citrus fragrance to it. And this is what is put into soups and such things in Thai cuisine and other Southeast Asian cooking. It's actually a good grower for us. It's pretty strong, got a good strong root system, and tends to have a fairly nice form to it if you do a little bit of pruning on it, which obviously will add to your cooking endeavors. Here we have a plant that's famous in China, actually. It's Aglaia odorata, and puts out these tiny little yellow flowers. Well, I don't even know what they are. They're sort of closed up now, but if you look at them under magnification, you can see that they do open, but that's full bloom for it. And it has a little bit of a fragrance. The fragrance is on and off, and I think that many people that grow this find it disappointing in that it's not fragrant like a jasmine all the time. It's also a very hardy grower. I mean, the plant can take huge amounts of stress in terms of dryness and neglect and so on. Right here we have our mother plants of Jasmine Grand Duke, which is the double sambac. You can see the flowers right here on it. And this one is reliably fragrant all the time. There's two clones of it, and this is actually the pointed leaf form, which has a little more vigor than our round leaf form. We're actually going into production on this right now. So we're always trying new plants at Logee's, and one of the tropical fruiting plants that we have been working with is the canistel, which is, or Putoria is the genus, and they actually work pretty good for containers, although they're a little bit larger than we would want for a windowsill. Here we have the fruit on one of our canistels right here. I believe this is the cultivar called Fairchild. You can see the flowers coming here, which are really abundant on the stems in the summertime for us. And a tree like this, which is it's probably 4 or 5 feet tall, well branched, it'll put out 4 or 5 fruit for us each season. This is actually a Schefflera. This is Schefflera arbocola janine, which is actually the dwarf form of Schefflera arbocola, which is very common in the South as a landscape plant. The plant itself is very compact, as you can see, and it actually will make a nice bonsai if you're interested in training plants like that. It's pretty much indestructible. Here we have the beginning of the flower of our Manilkara miniata, and this plant will probably never go into production unless it gets into tissue culture, because it's kind of hard to root and it's quite slow, and as you can see here, it's giant. I mean, the leaf span on that is almost 2 feet. So it's just something that we here at Logee's, this would be a plant where we just can't produce enough stock plant, and then how do you ship something with a leaf span like that? So it becomes a bit of a problem, but we like to collect unusual plants, and I love Manilkara, so we keep it around and produce a few of them from time to time. This is interesting plant. This is Phyllanthus angustifolia, which is in the Euphorbiaceae or the poinsettia family, or Euphorbia millii family. It produces flowers along what appear to be leaves, but they're actually not. The leaf is some tiny little protrusion at the base of the leaf here. This is actually the flower stem, and you can see the flowers forming. It actually will get almost red in bloom when it's in full bloom. It's just starting to bud up right now, and it has a fragrance of kind of corn chips. The fragrance is quite edible. We also have our Ixora odorata here, which is a wonderful fragrant tropical shrub. Has these long flower tubes on it, and the smell is quite sweet. A little bit more so in the evening, but throughout the day it's quite sweet. It is somewhat of a big plant. You can see the long leaves on it, but it does flower for us all summer long. I mean, it's always in bloom for us. We probably get almost 9 months of bloom out of that. There's Cananga fruticosa, which is in the lang lang family. This is also known as the dwarf lang lang. You see the flower here is actually, this one's going by a little bit, but it turns yellow. And Cananga odorata, which is our lang lang, really is an intensely fragrant plant. But this one here has a light fragrance to it, somewhat of a fruity smell. And unlike odorata, which is really hard to root and really grown from seed, this one here roots very easily. So it's something that can be grown as a container plant though. So here we have a really productive tropical fruiting plant. I mean, this thing puts out like buckets of fruit every year. You can see the cluster of them forming up there. This is Spondius dulcis, or in the dwarf form of it. The standard form will grow up to about 60 feet. This plant gets up to probably about 10, and it makes a great container plant. You can see growing in this pot for many years, but it produces a tremendous amount of fruit. The fruit, when it ripens, turns yellow. I can see some at the top. They're just starting to ripen, but you have to really let them get very ripe before they're really good eating. If you eat them when they're green, they're sort of like it's sort of like a cucumber or something. They have a kind of a sour taste to them and not much flavor. But if you let them get really ripe, so they start to get soft, they're actually quite edible. There's a large fibrous seed inside, so you just eat the outside of it, called June plum. It's a good strong grower. It's deciduous, drops all its leaves in the wintertime for us. Oftentimes there'll be fruit hanging on the tree with no leaves on it, and then comes back into obviously growth in the springtime. Logee has been growing plants since 1892. Hope you enjoyed the tour of our mother plants in our stock greenhouse. If you'd like more information, visit us at logees.com.